There are no neurotypical people. The great neurotypical myth. I've reached a conclusion. There are no neurotypical people. None. Not one. The entire concept is a statistical fiction created by psychologists, educators, and government departments that need categories so they can fill out forms. I've spent most of my working life dealing with neurodiversity, not just children. Everyone, every job, every workplace, every staff room, every office, every organisation I've ever worked in has been packed with people whose brains operate in wonderfully bizarre ways. The only thing that changes is whether they've got a diagnosis attached to it or whether they're in complete denial, especially if they're in complete denial. The most neurodivergent people in the building, in my experience, the people who insist they're completely neurotypical are often the most fascinating specimens. You'll meet somebody who proudly announces, "I'm perfectly normal." Then they will proceed to explain their collection of 4,000 model trains, organised alphabetically, by year, by manufacturer, and by the phase of the moon under which they were produced. Or you'll encounter someone who absolutely cannot function unless every pen on their desk points north. Someone who has eaten exactly the same sandwich every day since 1977. Someone who becomes emotionally distressed because a software update moved a button 3 pixels to the left. But no, perfectly normal, absolutely typical, nothing to see here. Move along. The trouble with average. The problem is that people misunderstand what average means. The average person doesn't exist. The average human being is a mathematical construct, a bit like the average family having 2.4 children. Nobody has 0.4 of a child. At least, I sincerely hope not. Similarly, the average brain doesn't exist. If you measured attention, memory, social skills, sensory processing, pattern recognition, anxiety, empathy, focus, creativity, impulse control, and 50 other traits, nobody would land exactly in the middle. Everybody would have strengths. Everybody would have weaknesses. Everybody would have strange little quirks. Some are just better at hiding them. Autism and the free will problem. Now, here's where things get awkward. Science is increasingly discovering that neurodiversity is biological. Autism appears biological. ADHD appears biological. Sensory processing differences appear biological. And if that's true, what exactly is left for free will? Think about it. You don't choose your genetics. You don't choose your early brain development. You don't choose your sensory profile. You don't choose what captures your attention. You don't choose what makes you anxious. You don't choose which thoughts appear in your head. Yet somehow, we're all supposed to believe there's a tiny magical captain sitting inside our skull making independent decisions. Where? Show me. Point to the little captain. I'll wait. The passenger theory. The more neuroscience advances, the more it feels like consciousness is not driving the vehicle. It's sitting in the back seat, commenting on the journey. It's like being trapped in an Uber driven by your own brain. The driver has already taken the exit. The turn has already happened. The decision has already been made. And consciousness turns up 3 seconds later saying, "Excellent choice. I was just about to suggest that." No, you weren't. The car is already in the car park. The neurodiversity spectrum of humanity. This is why I increasingly suspect that humanity isn't divided into neurotypical and neurodivergent. We're all neurodivergent. The difference is of 1 degree. Some people have cognitive traits that are so obvious they attract labels. Others have equally unusual traits that happen to be socially acceptable. The person obsessed with train timetables gets called autistic. The person obsessed with football statistics gets called passionate. The person who spends 12 hours researching medieval swords gets called eccentric. The person who spends 12 hours researching company finances gets called a successful businessman. Same behaviour, different context, different label. The coming identity crisis. The really interesting part is what happens next. Researchers are beginning to find biological subtypes within autism itself. This shouldn't surprise anyone. Autism has never looked like one thing. It's always looked like several different things sharing a common postcode. But if scientists eventually map these differences properly, we could end up with a future where personality itself becomes increasingly predictable. Imagine being able to say, this child will probably be highly analytical. This child will probably seek novelty. This child will probably have sensory sensitivities. This child will probably develop intense specialist interests. At that point, the old idea of human beings as completely self-created individuals starts to look rather shaky. The disturbing conclusion. Perhaps the biggest mistake we've made is believing that other people think the way we do. They don't. They never did. We're all running different operating systems, different hardware, different firmware, different bugs. Some of us are running beautifully optimized code. Some of us are essentially powered by a haunted spreadsheet. And somehow civilization still functions. Most days. Just about. So no, I don't think there are neurotypical people. I think there are 7 billion wonderfully strange brains, all pretending they are normal while secretly wondering why everyone else is so weird. And that's probably the most human thing of all.